Usually when it comes to filming videos, especially video reviews, I try the night before, get to bed on time, so I'm not super tired for my video, but that was not the case for this review because I had to stay up late last night, finish another volume, find out what happens next. Hello friends, happy Friday, so very excited that you're here. As you guys can see, I have a new video opening and I'm so very excited. This is all in preparation for the upcoming shoujo event where you guys vote for the shoujo manga that I should read and review this summer. And today's video is actually a leading up to next week because recently, I think it was last week actually, I did a poll asking which of these Azuki exclusive manga should I read and review for this channel because I'm going to be giving away two 30-day Azuki premium memberships next week. This video is not sponsored or anything like that. I just really love Azuki. I love the titles that they have. I love what they're doing. They are a great manga subscription service that I would highly recommend checking out. It's part of why I wanted to do this video review because I have been wanting to try. I don't know if it's their like best performing, so to speak, but I know so many people on Twitter who are like, this series is so good and everybody needs to read it. And that series actually won. So the series I am talking about is My Dear Detective. Oh my goodness, I am so happy that I finally started this series, that I finally started reading it. I didn't read all of the chapters. I believe I stopped on chapter 15, which is the end of volume 3. If I had more time, because before this video, this morning, when I was eating breakfast, I was like, I need to keep reading to see what happens next because I have just loved reading this manga. It really is so good. It is 100% worth the hype. Now, in case if you're like, Laura, that's all great, but I have no idea what this series is about. It is called My Dear Detective, and it is about a detective female detective in, I think it's during the beginning of the Showa era and end of the Taisho era. Because in Japan, it's like, I think it's the 1930s. They use the term Roaring 20s, and I was pretty excited because I actually love studying that time period in the US. So that was actually really cool. But during that time, there's a lot of Western influence, and so there's like a blending of culture that is happening on the general landscape, like as you see like in this story, which was really, really interesting. So our main heroine, Mitsuko, also known as Mimi, which I absolutely love, she is a female detective and it's very, very rare. In fact, I think the like blurb says that she's like one of the first, if not the first female detective, and she comes across this young man. His name is Saku. He totally swept me off my feet as soon as we met him, but she meets him. He is a waiter at this restaurant-like place and he says, hey, I found this shoe. Would you be willing to help me find who this shoe belongs to? And it's really nice. Like, it has an actual real diamond on this high heel, which was like, whoa. I was glad that the characters felt the same way when Saku mentions that it's a real diamond. So anyway, these two team up as a detective duo and they go and they solve different cases in this really luscious and amazing backdrop of having, like I said, this blending of the Western influence and Japanese culture, and just really, really, really good. I think the series too says it's very fashionable, and yes, this is a very fashionable series. I love just the character outfits, like on our main duo and just other people. It's really interesting. So this is very much a mystery. I think it's a seinen. I thought it was a josei, but it is a seinen title. But it's a mystery read, and I loved it. I loved it. I liked volume 1 quite a bit, but volume 2 hooked me, and I just could not stop reading. It's a very engaging story. There's many different parts that are my favorite, but I want to talk about the art first because, oh my goodness, if there is one thing that stood out to me like right away that just captured me, it is the beauty of this art, and Saku especially looks very, very nice. He is a very handsome young man, and I love just the way the mangaka draws like the definition of his face and the way his hair is, and Mitsuko is absolutely beautiful. Just all the characters, and then like I said, the background, like I love it. It is a very beautiful manga, and I really love how the expressions are captured, whether it's a funny one or like humorous one, I mean, a serious one, a happy one, a sad one, an angry one. I love just how those emotions are reflected on the faces, even with the eyes. Like, you can, like, if the slanting of the eyes and maybe, or like the squintiness of the eyes, like all of it, it's really, really engaging. I took time, extra time, I should say, to just appreciate a variety of panels because I just thought the art was so beautiful and so stunning. It's definitely one of those, I mean, I feel like in general, manga captures our attention with the art, but this one I felt like just went above and beyond and where it really gripped me right away. I mean, and the story gripped me right away too, but definitely the art very much so. So I loved Mitsuko right from the beginning. I love how, I want to say headstrong, but I feel like headstrong we sometimes associate as a negative kind of definition, and I don't mean that way. I mean, I feel like she has to be strong because you sort of get a little bit of her backstory and her wanting to be a police officer and being very discouraged that she could not be that. And I love her boss because her boss is amazing. So glad that he lifts her up, that he encourages her. And so her being a detective, she really gets scrowned upon or frowned upon, and it's really hard. Not by her boss, obviously, because he's absolutely amazing. And I love how just right from the start, we're seeing the hardships that Mitsuko is already facing and how she has people in her corner to help support her be this female detective. Why wouldn't people be more open to it, I sort of feel? Because, dude, she even tells somebody, she tells a client, she solves the most cases in her department, in the detective agency. So I'm like, obviously she's really good. It shouldn't matter about if she's a female or not. And that definitely plays a role in this story. Seeing her how she is in the beginning, the struggles that we see her come up against. I love the running theme of being true to who you are, being yourself, where you don't have to be invisible because of your name, because of your gender, because of your background. You can stand confident and strong in your dream, in who you are as a person. I loved that theme so much. I feel like it was just so beautiful and very encouraging to me as a reader. In multiple cases that Mitsuko and Saku are working on, you see how these people remain true to who they are, or they're coming to be, they're discovering their dream of who they want to be. Maybe they're not that person yet and they haven't even thought about it, or they just thought it was a very far off thing and didn't even give themselves permission to even think on that thing. They undergo trials or they undergo situations or things happen where they have that realization of like, yes, this is who I want to be and there's nothing else I could be but this. Very, very beautiful. I hope I like portrayed that just in a really great way because I loved it. It's very moving and just a very beautiful thing. And I especially love how it's related to Mitsuko, especially when it comes to the bad cop. I didn't like him at first, but I think it was like volume 3 that I actually started liking him, especially with this one chapter that I was like, okay, I was like, he's still the bad cop, but I was like, him and Mitsuko are agreeing on something because he is super disrespectful to her. Like, he doesn't even acknowledge that she's a detective. So I feel like you do not like this character. He may be good at his job, but it's like beside the point. Like, if you can't respect our main girl who is working her butt off and who does good as a detective, you need to get out. You need to get out. I did have to laugh and commend the manga for me sort of changing by volume 3 and sort of liking his character because we get to actually know him, and that sort of ties in with not specifically that chapter alone, but before that, of using your words. I think I even wrote down the quote. Yes, it was a character that we meet. I'm not going to go into details about that, but they say, find your own words, then speak. She says too that, what is it, like speaking or dialogue is a virtue, and I just really love that because it's so true. And I feel like that was more of a focus in volume 3 of words, that you have to use your words with your family, because there's a character, I almost said that person's name, I think it'd be a spoiler, but this certain character who's very influential says that sometimes when you're close to your family, you need to use your words even more, because you can think that you know this person, and it's not that you don't know them, but you might not be seeing the same things that they are. And that was extremely relevant to that chapter of this person thought that another character wanted to pursue the same dream that this person had for them. No, that wasn't quite the case. And so I really loved how there was just that special emphasis of using your words, of speaking. Like, there's just a lot of emotional tie-ins to these characters, not just Mimi and Saku, but also with each case. And that was such a great thing in the second volume, especially with the bad cop. I mean, that's not his name. I think his name is Shindo. I think is how I say his name. I just like calling him bad cop because that's sort of how they view him. But anyway, there is this emotional tie-in that I feel like gives Mimi this extra edge. And Saku is a very observant young man. I know I haven't even talked about the characters just yet, but I guess we can talk about him. I love when he sees, especially in volume 2, like he sees what like Shindo and other men are saying about Mimi and how they look down upon her and how it weighs on her. Maybe she doesn't say anything, but Saku notices this, and I love how he addresses it, which left sort of like, I think it was, I don't know if it was at the end of volume 2, where there's like a straight cliffhanger, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like there's the mystery of the cases that we're solving, but Saku has this mysterious air around him. I'm like, what is it about like this character that the manga keeps hinting at that there's something about his background that is very sketchy? And I'm like, if he's like a bad guy or something else, which he's not, I'm like, I am gonna be just a hot mess, because he is very much a Prince Charming. And I love when Mimi first meets him, and that's one of the things that she says about him. Like, I don't know if she says it out loud where he can hear it, but internally she's like, Prince Charming. And he is. He's very dashing, he's very kind, he's very caring, and again, going back to observant, and I've just loved seeing him beside Mimi. And what's so great too is Saku is so supportive of Mitsuko. Doesn't try and steal her limelight. He doesn't try and steal her like, well, you're a woman, so you're below me. No, he just full out supports her and hopes he can be just as great as her. And I'm just like, yes, Saku is best boy in this manga. He is amazing. And I just really loved how to, in volume 3, during the, I think it's called the Brother Keepers case, how emotional he gets at one point, and Mitsuko never looks down upon him. Like, they make an epic duo. I love them together. Definitely, there were like 2 moments that I'm like, oh, I'm like, my shipping heart is shipping them so hard right now. There's not really any romance. There really isn't any at all. But I feel like they're little Easter eggs that I'm hoping leads to some romance later in the story, because I'm like, I'm 100% here for it. They're so great. But even if they don't have any romance or anything, I, again, just love everything that I shared about Saku just then and how great of a character he is. Mitsuko is one of those heroines that I'm like, I admire you so much, and how you're continuing to pursue your dream and just live out the most that you can with this job that you have and that you love, and how you help other people. It is so amazing, and I really love when she's on these cases. There's one case where she just sort of fangirls, and I'm like, girl, yes, I love to see it. It was so great. I was surprised that there's quite a bit of humor that's woven in, especially in the first volume, and I was not prepared for that. Like, I didn't really have any expectations coming into this manga, except for, like I said earlier, where everybody says it's absolutely amazing, but I was very caught off guard by how humorous it is. The expressions are gold, and I laughed quite a few times. I feel like it gets a little bit more serious as the volumes go on. I mean, you still definitely have that humor, don't get me wrong. Like, I love when Mitsuko, when she gets mad, and I think it's in the beginning where she has like this angry cat behind her when she's talking to this person, and her face just totally reflects the angry cat. I love when she has those moments go, and how you can really see that passion that she has for being a detective. I like the different cases. I feel like the cases are not too intense, though there are 2 different cliffhangers. The end of, I think it's volume 1. Yeah, the end of volume 1, and then the end of volume 3. And I'm like, okay, after I film this video and I edit it and I get it uploaded on YouTube, I have to go see what happens. I have to start volume 4 because I need answers. Besides those 2 moments, I don't feel like there's too much of an intensity where I'm getting myself worked up because it's too much for me to handle with these cases. I mean, some of them, I feel like it goes back to being more of the emotional tie-in, and you see the struggles of that person and why this, not why is this case happening, but like you'll get backstory that is so good. Like, especially with the chapters or the case that involves the kid. Oh man, I got really emotional. I almost cried reading that last night because I did not expect it. I just love how we have all of these different ages. Like, we don't just have just adults, we have kids, elderly, goes across the board of just a variety of different things happening. Never found any of the cases boring at all. I'm not one to try and find or like solve the case before the characters. Like, that's just not me, because I'm usually always wrong as it is. So I enjoyed how it was just not as intense. I guess that would be what I would say. It's just a very, I wouldn't say relaxing read, but it was nice. It was a nice mystery read that wasn't too much, that had that perfect dose of mystery, humor, and me desperately hoping for the romance. And I guess I will stop there. I totally love this. I definitely recommend it. It is just such a great story, and I never thought I'd be quite this invested. Again, though, the hype is real, and I should have known I was gonna get hooked on this story, want to read more. Let me know, though, do you enjoy reading mystery stories? If you know of any other mystery manga, totally let me know down below. I would love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!